Jonny Evans was denied his first goal for Manchester United tonight, but he sets up Bruno Fernandes in a wonder goal. I actually reckon it's probably goal of the season so far, and could actually be the goal of the season. What a goal! But let's talk about the game. Welcome to United 24/7, and we're here to talk about Manchester United 1, Burnley 0. Yeah, it was Man United 1 tonight, 1-0 against Burnley. Overall, I actually really enjoyed the game. Let me set the scene. So we started the game just a couple of hours before kickoff with the news that to add to all of our injuries, that Lisandro Martinez was out injured with an issue. We think maybe he's been playing through with a foot injury so far this season, and he just wasn't able to play tonight. So Jonny Evans started the game, and I was in like a Man United fan channel on YouTube before the game, and they were all giving off stink about the team, the starting lineup, and how bad it was. They were giving off that Lisandro Martinez wasn't playing. They were giving off that our centre backs were Victor Lindelof and Jonny Evans. On the left we had Reguilón, on the right we had Diego Dalot, and of course Onana in nets. But the fans weren't happy with the starting lineup. I actually looked at the lineup and I thought, I think it's a good lineup. Obviously, I'm a big Jonny Evans fan. I've been a Northern Irishman. I know he's captains Northern Ireland. He scored goals for Northern Ireland, and I was joking with saying I could see goals from Jonny Evans tonight. And within the first half, it was within the first half an hour now, maybe the first 20 minutes. I'm not sure when the goal was ruled out, but Jonny Evans, there was a corner for United, and Jonny Evans header in the back of the net, and it's a goal. And it was ruled offside because Hojlund was actually obstructing the goalkeeper, and I think it's very debatable. It's another issue with VAR that we've had this year, and I know Ten Hag's not going to be happy, but this time around we got the win, so I think that's the main thing that matters. But Jonny Evans was denied a goal, and it would have been an amazing goal to basically show to all the fans, that were giving off, so-called fans anyway, they were giving off that he was playing and mocking him and mocking Jonny Evans. But he scored a cracker header, but unfortunately I think it should have stood, but it was marked disallowed because Hojlund was backing into the goalkeeper a bit. And from my perspective, I always thought that it was if you're in the line of sight of the goalkeeper, that's where you can get done. But Hojlund was sort of standing his ground, and the keeper was looking around him, so it's debatable, but it's another decision that goes against us. And thankfully it was redeemed, because before, at about 40 minutes in, Bruno Fernandes scored what I think is probably goal of the season, or definitely the goal of the season so far, and it was set up by none other than Jonny Evans. Basically from the back, Jonny Evans, one of the last men back, Jonny Evans kicks the ball up the field, and Bruno on the volley whacks it in the back of the net. Unbelievable goal. If you're on YouTube here, make sure you go check out that goal. It's unreal. But I want to talk more about just how the team performed in general, from picking themselves up from a defeat against Bayern Munich. As I said, I've already gone through the back four and the keeper. The midfield started with McTominay and Amrabat, Scott McTominay, Hannibal Mejbri and Casemiro as a three, and then we had Bruno Fernandes on the right, and we had Rashford on the left and Hojlund up front. And I have to say, Casemiro was getting grief for he scored 2 goals against Bayern Munich, but Casemiro, I personally don't think performed well in the first half against Bayern. Casemiro was amazing this whole game. He was making tackles when he needed to make them. He was getting up there. He was, there's a few times he could have scored goals. Casemiro played really, really well. Bruno obviously played really, really well. But I think Scott McTominay played, much better than he did against Bayern, because Scott was getting a lot of grief. And one of the things I was saying, if Scott performed the way he played against Bayern, you know, I would totally give up on him. I think his head's elsewhere, but he did a job tonight. But the main midfielder that really needs to highlight is not Bruno. Bruno was amazing, but the main midfielder that's highlighted is Hannibal Mejbri. Hannibal, you know, came on as a sub a few times this season and played really well, but he started his first game for United tonight, and he was, I have to say, like, other than Bruno, like, Hannibal was the best player on the pitch. And not only was he good as a single player, he was like working really well with everyone else, playing in that midfield role. Like, he was passing his footwork was amazing, his running was amazing. He was running, playing left, he was playing right, he was up down the middle. But his passing was outstanding. There was little flicks here and there, and also just the pacing of his passing, where he was laying the ball off to other people in the right way. Like, even there was times where Rashford wasn't making the passes, and I still think Rashford just needs to. I think Rashford just needs to trust his intuition a bit more. He's slowing down a wee bit, which is fine, but I think he needs to just trust his intuition more, learn how to play with Hojlund, and you know, they're going to gel really well. But Hannibal, you know, there was one or two wee mistakes, but they go hidden, because outside of that, he was a 10 out of 10. You know, I was busting for Hannibal to get a goal near the end of the game, but it didn't come. But I could see Hannibal playing really well in the rest of the season, and I'm really glad. I wasn't expecting him to be starting in a game like this, and with the way he played, I would want him playing every single game. You know, he showed real character, and it was amazing to see. Something to note that Nick actually mentioned was that she can see Hannibal and Bruno having like a real sort of chemistry, and you can see that mentorship there possibly between Bruno and Hannibal. Hannibal really looking up to him, and whenever Bruno scored that goal, particularly you saw him looking up to him, and the celebration with Casemiro was just unbelievable. I think to talk a bit more about the players on the pitch, like, I think Rasmus Hojlund again had the bits of energy and spark that we saw in the other games, but his finishing just wasn't there yet. And you have to, like, sort of, like, obviously I love players that aren't always performing to their best, and I want to see them get the best out of them. But you know, if you want to compare the likes of Hojlund to Weghorst, the impact that Hojlund's having so far is phenomenal compared to that. So Hojlund's definitely doing a job. He's doing it really well. I just think he's going to get those goals soon. You can see where he's like hitting the side netting, or he's just like, balls are getting whipped in and he's just missing them. You know, once he starts banging a few of them in, he's going to be unstoppable. The potential is amazing there, but it didn't fully click. And I think maybe it's a maturity thing. He just needs to get those games under him. He needs to learn when to pass, when to look. Like, there was a couple of times when he could have passed to Bruno, he could have passed to a few other people, and it just didn't really. He maybe had a shot instead, or he passed the wrong person, and that's where he just needs to, you know, maybe look at the likes of Rashford and take a little second or so to himself and just pass to the right person. But also, speaking of passing, there's a few times I think where Scott McTominay, you know, I don't know whether it feels like he's being left out a bit, or they're not passing to him, or he's just. There's a couple of times I've seen Scott running into the right position and it hasn't been passed in. There was a scenario in the first half where Scott had a shot on target and first didn't go in, but it almost like Bruno had to jump out of the way. So there is a lack of chemistry there, and like, I do feel for Scott. Again, the way he was performing for Scotland was amazing, and I would love to see him put in those performances for us, but I do feel, unfortunately, that his head is elsewhere. But I think Ten Hag's putting him on the pitch because he trusts him. So I do hope that Scott does have the Manchester United love at his heart still, and we'll give his 10 out of 10. And that Bayern Munich performance was just a wee blip, because he did play a lot better tonight. But it just, like, his passing was good, his defense was okay, and he did his job where he was like. He almost played a bit of a Fred, where he was like being that extra man on the field. Just he's almost running into positions to, you know, put other players off and let the other players run into better positions. So he did his job, and I thought he did it really well, and much better than Bayern Munich. And the other highlight is that Reguilón was amazing, but unfortunately got subbed off for none other than Amrabat. So we don't know if maybe in the next match we might see Amrabat start, but it won't be in the centre midfield with or without Casemiro. It might be on the left wing at the left wing back position, which will be very interesting. Hopefully not. Hopefully Sergio Reguilón is just like a light hamstring, because even when Evans went off, Evans looked a wee bit sore when he was trotting off. So hopefully these are just, you know, from a hard game at Burnley. What a stadium, by the way. They showed it on TNT Sports just before the match kicked off. Burnley Stadium. They showed it inside the Chairman's Lodge. It's all really like old fashioned and wooden and real like just luxurious looking old football ground stadium. And then they did a few interviews with the fans. It just seemed like a cool stadium, a cool vibe. It's definitely a game that we needed to win. It's definitely a game that we had to win. There would have been huge talking points if we hadn't won this. Like, I don't think Burnley have won a game yet this season, so Man United had to really prove a point and get a goal. And I just think, what an amazing goal by Bruno Fernandes, set up by Jonny Evans. And unfortunately for Jonny Evans, he didn't get this goal, but hopefully he's shown the fans that not only can he assist goals, but he can score goals too. So next time when Jonny Evans is starting, hopefully the Man United fans are going, yes, we've got a good centre-back starting. We've got Jonny Evans. Captain Jonny Evans, I call him. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe this, and leave a comment and tell me what you thought of the game. See you later. Bye-bye.